I'm tired.
The Late Morning Program with Nṛsiṁha podcast.
Hare Krishna, everyone. You're listening to the Nṛsiṁha podcast, the number one Hare Krishna podcast in the world. I'm so delighted to have Dhruva Prabhu on with me today. Dhruva, thanks for joining me.
My absolute pleasure.
So everyone, I feel like with my friends, when I refer to you, I refer to you as Nṛsiṁha Dhruva. Because they're like, what Dhruva are you talking about? Because there's a lot of Dhruvas, Nṛsiṁha Dhruva.
Yeah.
I wanted to start off by asking you, what kind of started your obsession, you could say, with Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, which is an awesome obsession to have. We'll show the books that you did and the new book that came out, the second book. I also want to say, like, this is a really amazing accomplishment. Like, this is not easy to do. And when I see someone who's like really focused on trying to do something and like they do it, they don't just talk about it, they do it. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be back. We haven't seen each other for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think before you were married.
Yeah.
Wow, that's rad.
Yeah.
Time goes like that. But here we are. And yeah, my addiction, wow. I like that word.
Addiction.
Obsession,
addiction.
Obsession, addiction. In contemporary times, we think it's like negative, but for me, because it was rooted with just Narasimha. And when I was young, growing up in ISKCON, we didn't know kind of what addiction was, or I guess we weren't really taught that word. Yeah. We were taught like bad habits, don't drink, smoke, or whatever, like things like that. But I don't remember knowing what that word meant until I was much older. So when I was quite young, a teenager, and I found out that Narasimha appeared in India, we weren't taught that. Or do you ever remember when you were a little kid learning that he appeared in? Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was just we knew the story.
Yeah.
This amazing, man, lion, God, and then Lakshmi Narasimha, Ugra Narasimha, where he's killing. And then I found this book randomly when I was with some of my model friends at the Miami temple, and it said, "The abode of Narasimha, 9 unworshipped temples in the jungle," and I was like, WTF? And all my friends at the time, they knew I worshipped this man-lion god. They weren't, Indians. They were like Western model girls, and they're like, "What is that?" I said, "I found out where he came from." And they were like, "You mean the Nṛsiṁha guy?" They called him. I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "You gotta go there." And at this time, I must have been pushing 16.
Wow.
So I was always an entrepreneur. And the advantage of being that when you're a teenager is you can kind of do what you want. And Mom and Dad, though, tried to always guide me and tell me what to do, I always was kind of very independent since I was a little child. I was nuts. And from that moment when I found out where he was from, I set my mind to go there. So I was a teenager. Going quickly back, when I was 3, I got a small idol of him that apparently was worshipped by the amazing Srila Prabhupada.
Wow.
Yeah, who installed him, I guess, with this Swami in New Vrindavan. Radhanath Swami was there. A couple of Swamis with Varshana Swami. Of course, Bhakti Pad and many more. So my father gave me this deity, and I always remember he said, "He is your father, Nṛsiṁha." So I was 3, 4, and I used to have a horse, and I would ride bareback, sometimes with a saddle, and I would have this Nṛsiṁhadeva in like a backpack, because he said, "Keep him with you everywhere," and I didn't realize that meant, I thought that meant take him everywhere. But yeah, that started my little hook. And then from that, as I got older, I had no interest in school, but I was very entrepreneurial. Though I finished school, I didn't want to waste teachers' time. I didn't want to be a doctor, accountant. Back then, they didn't have IT stuff.
Right.
It was like, hey, a few things you could get into. And I was like, nope. You got 5 other kids that can do that stuff.
Right.
So, once I found out where he came from, I became like obsessed. And I always tell people it's like the first time you experience a crush. That feeling of nothing else and no one else matters. You want to win their eye. And then you meet them, and then it's like this incredible, it's temporary, it's beautiful, but it's temporary. But for me, since I was a kid, I with Nṛsiṁha, this high, that almost feeling of experiencing like endless happiness or bliss, still to this day, it's like the same when I was young. Even though I've gone through incredible experiences, mystical experiences, marriage, amazing things, and they've been mostly fantastic. But that drive, that feeling of when I was a teenager, for the first time I found out where he was from, it's still like exactly where it was when I was young. And then I ended up getting to India by myself. I didn't speak the languages, but I had that painting of Ugra Nṛsiṁha, small little. Ended up in Hyderabad, and back then the bus took 18 hours. Now it takes 4. The roads were all dirt roads.
The trip to Ahobilam.
Ahobilam from Hyderabad, yeah.
You're the kind of like the first person who put Ahobilam like on the map. Like before that, no one really knew what it. But like the Nṛsiṁhadeva Prabhu,
the documentary.
I'll put that in the description of this video. But
that was cool.
That was on VHS. I remember.
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah, I never saw it. I didn't see it for like a year after it came out. I didn't know it was such a big hit. And back then, YouTube was very in its infancy.
Oh, totally.
2020 or 21, whenever it came out.
Yeah.
But later on, I found out some, bless his heart, Indian guy put it on YouTube in India years later, and it got like 65 million views.
Wow.
And I think they went after him and took it down. And
right.
So that place, as the Brahmins told me over the years, you ruined Ahobilam.
That's what they said?
Yeah. Because it was like this tiny nothing.
Yeah.
And when I went there the first time, growing up in ISKCON, as you know, and many of the people that watch your podcast, and for those who don't, it's all about taking advantage of the opportunity to get the nectar, like a bumblebee or a bee.
Right.
So if the door's open, go in.
Yeah.
If you have a chance, do it. It's like love. It's about you and your relationship with God. So when I went to Ahobilam, all these temples were open. Some of the deities were outside against trees. There was no temple.
What?
There was no guardrails or doors or nothing. So when I went with this guy Madhu, who I met there, and that first experience, there was like a tiger. I had to climb up a tree. It was so. That was it. That was my drug. I literally had like the biggest hit of whatever. A lot of my friends that have done drugs, whether spiritualists or non-spiritualists, they always tell me about this high. It's unbelievable. You got to try it, Dhruva. And I understood what they were talking about, but the difference is mine never went down. So, and even though I did things like marriage, love, experience, that never could reach the feeling I always was after. Nṛsiṁha, find him, his people. So in Ahobilam, when I had that first experience, going, and my friend was like, go touch the idol. I was like, I can like touch him? Yeah, go put your head on his feet. Embrace him. He's your father. So I'd be like, oh my God, I'm like touching this 500-year-old deity, 1,000-year-old deity. And my hair, I was getting things that we read about when we were young, like, I guess, ecstasy or bliss, or things we feel temporarily in a material sense, like love and all that. It was like this, whoa, I need more. Then it just started setting in. I didn't know at that time, like addiction, but...
Was there a time when Ahobilam was like how it is now, where it's being maintained, people go visit there? Like from when you saw it till now, it's like really kind of bumping place. But before that, like when was it?
I would say...
was it like centuries ago?
Yeah, like when Ramanuja went there.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And he established there's 9 temples, but then there's a 10th, Lakshmi Nṛsiṁha, in Lower Ahobilam. That's like kind of Ramanuja established that temple. So what is Ramanuja, 800 years, 800 years ago?
Right.
It was pumping back then.
Oh,
yeah, you read the history books, the chronology of Ramanuja's life, and then his devotees who went there and spent time in Ahobilam. A lot of the history of Ahobilam is foggy, but people like Madhva Ramanuja Shankara who went there through them we gained, and some of the kings, the Vijayanagars, the Cholas, the Pallavas, they would go to Ahobilam and do heavy tapasya. Like there's that famous Vijayanagar king who buried treasure there. He was so wealthy. I mean, people talk about one of the Mughal kings who looted India for years and had like unlimited amounts of wealth, but none of them can compare to the wealth the Indian kings had pre their time, you know?
Right.
So this guy was so famous, and his whole thing was giving wealth to the temples, building the most incredible temples. He's the one that built that temple in Lower Ahobilam, and which if you go to, it's like, how in God's name did they carve that pillar?
Right.
900 years ago. Like, again, like WTO, what the heck? There's no tools, chisels. Now we got 3D scanners. We got so much awesome stuff to make it convenient, but it's still difficult. These awesome human beings managed to do it. So it blew my mind when I was there the first time. And you could see traces of kind of glitter in people's eyes that their families have been in Ahobilam for hundreds of years, them telling me old stories, obviously through a translator, of how their great-great-great ancestors said it used to be 300-400 years ago. And it was more jungly. There was lions, tigers, and wild elephants. Now there's only leopards and tigers. Huge tiger preservation there.
Tell us a story, like a
the
mystical story or something. There's something about the tiger or something about some experience that you might have had in Ahobilam alone or whatever.
Yeah, the tiger ones were... All the Brahmins, because, you know, I'm a white kid from America, thinks he knows everything. I show up there and I'm like, I'm going to do it all. Nobody can tell me what to do. But the Brahmins always told me, don't go by yourself into the jungle. But I always would go. And I had like 7 tiger experiences in Ahobilam. And it was always the same guy. I called him Scarface. He had a white kind of hairline through his eye. It was the craziest thing. He was a huge male. I had a lot of experiences with him. And one time when I was going, it was a full moon morning. I would start walking to the pillar at 3 a.m. in the pitch black, you know, by myself. I was nuts. Now that I look back, I was like, doesn't seem like I did it because it's over. Right. But I was like, what the hell was I thinking? So I started walking with my little tiny flashlight. You get these freebies where it has the round battery. Like that, and you press it, and it's like this big.
It's like a keychain or something.
Like, yeah. And I was like going my way. And then it started getting a little light. And I heard this kind of a jump onto something. And immediately my hair stood on end. And I was like, danger. Not fear. I never ever feared anything in my life. Because fear is not really real to me. Or at least when we growing up, Prahlad was fearless. Dhruva Maharaj, the 4 Kumars, the Saptarishi. Fear doesn't really exist, but danger exists. So immediately my hair stood on end and my heart's like, pop, 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 pop. And I was like, tiger. So just in front of me was these 2 boulders and like a gorgeous, almost waterfall kund. Wasn't running, but it was a stagnant water. And I was like, what do I do? So I just dropped my little bag, climbed on the boulder, and I just like stuck to it like I was like a lizard. And I was kind of upside down. I just did it. And this Scarface tiger came and he just went and kneeled and he was like a little kitty.
Yeah.
And drinking water. And he looked right up at me. I'll never forget it. With his shoulders, his hands down, and he just looked up. And like our eyes met. And I was holding my breath. And it felt like forever, but obviously it's not. It's hardly 10, 20 seconds, you know. And he just drank, went on the other boulder, and then just kind of plodded his way, kept going, never looked back. That was awesome. One of the times that was very mystical for me because I knew there was something about him. Because I would hear later on in my life that these tigers or cobras or beings would be born in these areas, spiritual areas. Maybe they're a mystic yogi from their last life who want to come back to experience this but not be bothered.
Right.
Cobras, like huge king cobras. When I was walking up to Prahlad's school, they call Prahlada Varada, there's a ledge, a boulder that stuck out that you could see the valley. That was my spot for chanting. I would come every day and sit there. And one day I woke up and there's this huge tree branch. I was like, oh, a tree must have fallen. As I get closer, I have my wooden shoes on, you know, those Padaka things. And I immediately realize it's a huge king cobra standing up way taller than me.
Whoa.
And he's just swaying, looking kind of down at the valley, you know. And I froze, because there's two ways you can distinguish a male and female king cobra. I mean, obviously, the experts will know better than me, but from what I was told is the female is more tawny, reddish, blackish, and she'll attack you till she bites you. Very territorial. The males, not so much. So I was just praying in my head, please, not a female king cobra. So I was in my kind of realizing it was dangerous. I hit a stone and it just went pop, 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 pop down, and it hit him.
Hit the cobra.
Yeah, and the cobra's like that thick. And it hit him, and he just turned around, and his hood, I'll never forget it, he turned around and looked at me, and he went, his hood opened.
Whoa.
And I was like, all I could remember was in the scriptures, Puranas, everything, these are sacred beings, these king cobras.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it was like a voice. I have to like offer respects. So here I am in the middle of, you know, on the side of a mountain talking to a cobra, like talk about insanity, right? But it just came out, I'm so sorry. And then I like bowed to him. Whether he bowed to me or not, I don't think so, but he kind of just acknowledged and then put his hood down and then just went down. I mean, there's so many mystical ones, but I in my life, I've learned that you have to be careful what you share. Because as humans, we're like, whoa, that's not fair. How could he or she experience that and not me?
Right.
So a lot of the things I keep very close to my heart.
Sure.
But the first book was just my journal.
Right.
And I remember even, my editor, Satyaraj, who was brilliant, he kind of asked me, do you want me to add more? Because some of the gurus he writes for, what is it called, writer's license?
Artistic license?
Okay, yeah, they make up stuff.
Right.
How can I make up anything? My travels were so insane. What more could I add?
Right.
He used to laugh at me. He was like, Dhruva, you can only say awesome so many times. I was like, well, what about like amazing, fantastic? He's like, it means the same thing. I was like, okay. So help me with that. But, it was just, in some of the temples were so adventurous, dangerous, amazing. And some, it just flowed perfectly. There was no wild obstacles.
When you were going there, like early on, what was your goal to like continue going there? Did you just like to be there, or you thought like, oh, I could do something here, like excavate it or whatever?
Perfect question. When I was young, I always, when we're young, we have big dreams. My dream was I felt that was my home, and I'm going to come back. So I've been there over 200 times in my life so far, which seems like a lot, but when I was in India so much, anyways, traveling all over, finding his temples, I was just crisscrossing Ahobilam. So I would be like, I'm going to swing in for a day. Right. So, I mean, I thought of amazing things. And back then I was kind of naive, and I didn't buy. I could have bought hundreds of acres for pennies to the dollar.
There.
But I just didn't. I was in a different, like an addict. I wanted more of him, more of his temples, more of his people. I got to keep moving. So I had big visions for kind of even, I spoke to, so many swamis over the years, Jayapataka Swami, even non-ISKCON swamis, people like Sai Baba, Kripala, who also had been to Ahobilam, who watched my documentary and said they drew their inspiration to go there because of me. Wow. Like cool stuff like that, Or I would meet them there, and they were like, we should do something here, open a center or something. Yeah. Which I don't regret, but there's some amazing things happening there now, and but I wouldn't live there now. It's not the Ahobilam I knew.
It's interesting how that happens. Like it happened to Vrindavan also. Some people, what's your feeling around that? It's a place that you saw as like a jungle, completely, downtrodden place. Like now it's become like anyone could go there. It's like a tourist place now.
It's like a trash dump now, a hobo.
Is it really?
Yeah, and kind of a friend of a mutual friend. He's one of the richest men in India. He owns this company called TVS Scooters. Srinivasan. He's like a multi-billionaire. He ended up giving a hobolam unlimited amounts of money. I'm thinking in the tens, 20 million more, $30 million. So he did make it more convenient, and he did preserve the temples.
Okay.
What was left of them? He cleaned the roads up. But what unfortunately didn't happen, which probably if some Indians in India hear this, they'll get mad at me because I'm speaking the truth, is he didn't set the infrastructure for maintaining and what to do with the trash.
Oh.
Like ISKCON in Mayapur, irregardless of a lot of buildings, they got a pretty good system for recycling, composting, and trash.
Right.
Like really awesome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they've been working at it for the past 25 years. So it's a good system. Hobolam could have done that. And that was, I used to fight with these guys because the government came in as well. And I used to be like, they would put, doors on the temples, and I would rip them off. I would just tear them off. I was like one of those Vrindavan monkeys, You know how they shake I literally would just tear the door off, throw it over the hill, and then the Brahmin would come scratching his head, and I'd be like, must have been a monkey. Because there's so many monkeys there. It was my monkey. And because, okay, you're putting doors on things, Brahmins are getting, money, but if you're not keeping the holy place clean, I think the essence and I think a lot of people are missing out on the essence of the place. It just becomes like same like Badrinath, Joshima, Gomukh, all these places, helicopter pads now.
Yes.
I mean, give me a break. Hotels serving meat. You can get meat in places it's like beer, like up in freaking Muktinath Badrinath. You can get everything. Like the whole point is to do austerity. Going there.
Yeah.
Get the benefit, and then be gone. Vrindavan used to be like that too, but I remember Ayendra used to always tell me I should never stay more than 2 nights, 3 days. And even though I had a big house there for a while, I kept that forever.
In
Vrindavan.
Oh, in Vrindavan, right.
And same in Ahobilam. I think I only stayed there one Kartik to go to the pillar every single day. Mm-hmm. And it kind of hurts my heart, and I stopped fighting with them.
Yeah.
Because when a place becomes famous, Tirupati, Ranganath, Vittal, all these kind of self-proclaimed gurus also make these places famous. Money comes in the picture, and then bye-bye. So... And then I think the purity still remains, but the people that are pure kind of spread out. They don't want to be overwhelmed by the takers. So that's why I go to Ahobilam. I still have some great people there and I just do my own thing, and they let me. And nobody bugs me. I can't break the doors off anymore because they're like solid steel.
Whoa.
They figured it out. It was me. And they got cameras everywhere, and it's like you can't take photos. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
wow. That's such a huge change.
Yeah, it's like heartbreaking for me, but they don't get it because for them, Ahobilam's Ahobilam. They live there, they grew up there. I'm a white dude from America that would have to work his butt off, even way before I was married. Businesses, save up, go there.
Yeah.
Take, it was so much penance to go there. And so I think for me, the place was a lot more, it was a lot more. So then to see it change, it was also a lot more. But then as I got older, you become more, you accept the I don't know if I can say the simpleness of being human in some people where we don't all hold the same values in some things,
Yeah.
So you can't push yours on them. And then I realized these guys are so lucky to be living in Ahobilam, and that's that. So now I just have a love for them and the place, but over the years I've found there's a place people don't know. I won't mention the name because I don't want anyone to ruin it. But it's called the second Ahobilam.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They say that's the actual Ho'oponom. And there's 9 temples, not 10. Literally all in caves on mountains in this really, really crazy.
So like separate deities and all other.
And way older. Whoa. Yeah, the archaeological department said way older. Like 2,000 years, some of the idols. Whereas in Ho'oponom, some of those idols are hardly 150, 200 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that place is one of the only places I haven't been yet.
You haven't been there, you just heard of
I've
it.
been saving it. Well, because I knew what I did to a Ho'oponom, so I wanted to kind of, savor that moment when I just slip into that place. Like, over the years, like 1,468 temples. That's a lot of bloody temples I've found.
How many?
1,468.
1,468.
Yeah, that's a lot of temples.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's insanity. Now that I look at it,
Yeah.
logistically, how the heck did I do all that? But when I was young, I was crazy. I didn't have like wife, girlfriend, job. I was an entrepreneur. So I had this freedom.
Yeah.
And I was like an unstoppable train. Like I'd sleep on the bus stands, I'd sleep on the buses, train stations, I'd sleep on the Brahmins' front porches if they didn't open when I knocked at night. I'd sleep in the abandoned temples. I didn't care. And I wouldn't eat. I'd always joke with people. I'd eat those small South Indian bananas sometimes, and kurkadi, that horrible fried potato chip thing. It was so bad. But I just was on this like mission after a Ho'oponom, who they claimed there was no other temples.
Yeah.
Because they had this ownership. He belongs to us.
Did you ever experience racism? Because it's for someone to come to that part of India in the mid 90s or whatever, and like they don't even know like what to do with you. You can't speak the same language.
I was just glad I wasn't British. Like.
But I mean, for them, it's like the same. Yeah, it's the same, right? In some ways.
Ingrezi, Sahib, yeah.
Right.
The Southerners are so awesome. Southerners. The only, I think, difficult one was the Tamils, which is understandable because the Christians really did the Tamils wrong,
Right.
They really did. The French, the Portuguese. But, I was on this particular journey. I was dressed literally like I was wearing like a tiny gumsha, dhoti. I just had my gumsha wrapped around me, an extra set of kopins, my wooden shoes, and a kamandalu. That was it. And I would never wear a shirt. And I had a chador like this to sleep. Right. And so like whether I was in a big city or walking I would walk sometimes kilometers, and some people would just pick me up, city people, and then take me to another Nṛsiṁha temple. I never experienced it, funnily enough, only from the supposed advanced swamis and gurus, some of them.
Really?
Yeah, from the different sampradayas. I don't know if it was racism or if it was more them testing my resilience, or I don't know, testing if I was actually doing something, or
right.
If I, like many self-proclaimed gurus, just want fame, adoration, money, for Insta followers, whatever the new thing is.
Right.
One of the gurus of Ahobilam was like, you're a Sudra, untouchable. Don't come into my room.
Right. I was gonna ask about that, like the whole thing about people outside of India, Malechas, Yavanas, that whole thing.
So we know in the Shastra it says in the age of Kali Yuga, everybody's a Sudra.
Right.
I'm sorry. We're all born of that nature.
Right.
So obviously it doesn't make me equal to these amazing men and women that have done awesome austerities and that are there, and like I never thought I was on the same, but this guy was like, I ain't letting this white boy in, this Sudra. So my friend Madhu, perfect I said, what did he say? And Madhu was like, just leave it alone. I was like, what did he say? I could tell by his body language.
Right.
I love reading body language. So I knew that's what he said. And then I said, oh, tell Swamiji it takes a Sudra to know a Sudra.
Oh my gosh.
I said, say it exactly the way I said it. And the Swamiji was, the Jir, he's called, he said, then he called me in. And then we sat down and we talked about Nṛsiṁha for a couple hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And because we were just on the same page. I'm there to, what do you know about Nṛsiṁha? Tell me about Nṛsiṁha. What's going on? I'm not there to take from you.
Yeah.
I'm not there to, use you. Just help me. So he became very kind after that. He died some time later. Was he the 45th year of Ahobilam? But the Madhvas as well, except Pejwar Swami, they wouldn't even like let me in their ashram.
Whoa.
Through the door, but I was white American. I was like, get out of the way. They're like servants. I was like, excuse me, you know. I didn't realize they were actually trying to guard me. I was just thought they were being rude and getting in. You know, in India, we come to the railroad station, everyone's crowding.
Yeah.
So I'm like pushing these guys out of the way, and I see the Swamiji, and he's like shocked. I'm in there. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa! What are you doing in my ashram with your filth? But not in an evil way. But I was like, and a lot, not to be mean, but a lot of them were like, I'm pretty tall, like 6'3", and they were like small. So maybe I was intimidated, but I didn't know. I was just young. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I was like, you got an Nṛsiṁhadeva DVD. What's up? Like,
Yeah. Let's talk
and
about
they all
it.
spoke English,
Yeah.
but they refused to. And this one Swami told my friend Chaitanya, he's like, this guy will never do anything. He'll never accomplish anything. So I asked Chaitanya, I said, what did he say? And Chaitanya was a bit more nice about it. He says, he's not really wishing you luck. I said, oh, that's what I need. That gives me
Fuel.
power.
Right.
Like when I went to Australia to establish a business, everyone told me there, nah, mate, ain't gonna work, mate. Nah. Don't even give it a shot. And that made me like, no. See, when people have fear, they don't do anything.
Yeah.
They choose the easy ways in life. But I was like, wait a minute. Even though I'm doing a thing with Narasimha, divine, I was fearless. Why would I be fearless? Why would I not be fearless in the material realm as well? So this Swami told me that. And then when I brought him, the book,
Yeah.
like I brought him this one, 2.5 years ago when I was working on the site. He wouldn't talk to me for 18 years.
Wow.
Right? I brought him this book, and he saw me coming in, and he said, book? And I was like, oh, all of a sudden he speaks English.
Whoa.
And he called me up, and I handed him the book, and he was flipping through it, wouldn't say a word. And then he started crying. And I was like, whoa. Because he was the heaviest. He said, you did it. You did this? And I was like, I told you I would. It only took me 18 years, but I told you I would. And he said, how can I help you? And I said, well, I'm working on my second one about the origins of the god of yoga. Why did yoga, bhakti yoga, real yoga, originate from him and Prahlad's relationship?
Right.
Why? And why did Madhva worship him like that? Then he was just like an open book, pulling out old scrolls, crazy stuff. So all these guys, one by one, they opened up. So it was almost like I had to become, in university they have those sororities and fraternities where you have to be, what is it called, hazed?
Hazed, yeah.
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 So it's almost like they had to realize if I'm really going to
Right.
be, real. I'm not just, in it for, and that was hard because, 18 years is a long time to not be talked to by these people that you want to get the essence from. And then there was tons that were so open. I mean, I met everybody, Sai Baba, Kripalu, other Sai Babas. I mean, Amma, this Amma, that Amma, the hugging Amma when she was nobody.
Right.
Yeah, she was nobody. Now she's a $1 billion retail, crazy thing. I don't know what happened to her and that whole thing, but she was just a nice lady that hugged you. Sai Baba helped me so much with my book, the Purtapati Sai Baba with the big afro. Whether they were, well, he wasn't God, and I loved Sai Baba for his, he had this love for Narasimha. Even though we're not, I don't like to mention names, but this is very positive. I can't not give credit where credit's due. Him, so many gurus what their deal wasn't my problem.
Right.
The fact is they liked Narasimha.
Right.
And they helped.
Right.
So he was like a little kid. He was like, all I ask is when you come through, because I would always go through Purtapati on my way to these Andhra temples or back to Karnataka. You had to drive through it. And he would say, can you just show me what temples you found? because I've only seen a few.
Whoa.
So I would print out the photos and I'd come and sit with him. He'd be like, where's this one? You know, he was fascinating. He gave me a ambassador car with a driver and a translator.
Wow.
So many of them. I mean, amazing people. What's his name? Madhu Pandit. I mean, Pejwar Swami came with me 2 temples. You know, I mean, he's like with an untouchable. He would come to me. Many ISKCON Swamis. It was the amount of help I had from kids, boys, girls, middle-aged, old. I mean, rich, famous. It was phenomenal, and all it was just focusing on Narasimha. Like I'd show up in Bombay, epicenter of like material life. And I didn't know who celebrities were. Back then I didn't care. I'd be walking and I would see somebody getting in a fancy car and I'd be like, yo, do you speak English? And they'd be like, of course I do. I was like, well, I just came from Andhra where, you know, I didn't hear English for like 3 months. They're like, oh, what's up? Everything okay? I was like, yeah, can you, I'm looking for this god Narasimha. You know who he is? And some of them, even Muslims, would be like, actually, you know what? One of my aunties, are you busy? You want to come? They'd be like, hop in the car, let's go. And I'd show up at their house, their mansion, their TV studio, and then next thing you know, it's like auntie or their grandma's coming in who's telling me, oh, you got to go to this one place. So every single moment of my adventures and mystical, like in real Indiana Jones, but like on steroids, on crack, it was like his people were guiding me. It was never me, and though in the beginning I thought it was me. So because you know, of ego, of a teenager, testosterone, me, I.
Yeah.
Me and Narasimha. But then I quickly realized, after probably the 300th temple, that it's his people that got me there. And I didn't speak any of their languages. I would just hold up the photo, Nṛsiṁhadeva Sthanam, temple, mandir, and they would be like, and I'd be, mandir, Narasimha, and they'd be like, oh, Narsiya, or Nursiya.
Right.
Some, you know, we think, in ISKCON, we think we know how to say Narasimha.
Right.
No, we don't. You know how many dialects there are in India? How many cultures, subcultures, gypsies, forest dwellers? I heard Narasimha's name, I thought it was butchered. It wasn't.
Right.
That's just how they say it.
In Gujarat, Narsi.
Narsi.
Yeah.
Like Narsipura, like all these. So here I was, Mr. Know-It-All, and I was like, not humbled. I just realized, oh my God, this is like, I can never stop learning from these people. So I really took it. And then I would have to, you know, be responsible, come back, make money. And I was avoiding the inevitable, which all my friends were getting married, going to school, getting jobs. I was like, no.
Wow.
Yeah, I really avoided it. And I'm glad I did, because I stayed ruthlessly focused on my mission, which was to find him.
That's something you said about fear, which was really interesting. You said you never had fear, but you knew that there was danger.
Oh, yeah.
So in something like tigers and stuff like that's like very easily understood that could be dangerous. But like you're saying right now about you didn't want to do like a normal life, like
Never.
job, 9 to 5, this and that. Like in some ways that could be dangerous or fearful also. So
Oh, yeah.
so I'm interested to know like where did that fearlessness come from, and how would you explain to someone how to become fearless?
You know, first realizing that fear is not real. It's not. It's we're brainwashed to think it's like I met a nice lady today, and like her husband was telling me, she won't go here because she's very fearful. I was like, what, you mean it's dangerous? Yes. I was like, yeah, that's a difference. I said, fear is illogical. I'm very logical. But I was like, that kid was so fearless. He was like telling his dad, the most powerful man on the planet, the universe before, listen, Dad, I love you, but I got to be honest with you. You're not the most powerful. I'm not the most powerful. The divine is. And his father told him, listen, Prahlad, I'm going to give you one last chance. Get in line or else. And Prahlad or else what? You're my dad, you know, like I love you. I'm going to tell you the honest essence of who I am. So I kind of imbibed that. And also maybe I was just nuts, partially, you know, you got to be a bit insane because I was striving for it. I was eagerly waiting for that fix, like skydiving, all these things never ever even raised my hair. Like I don't think it's scary or even dangerous. I think it's like, what do they call it? Adrenaline junkie. I wasn't, but those things didn't bother me. And because I always knew you could drive down to the supermarket and get in an accident, or so why fear anything? And I tested it along the way because Narasimha says, I will protect you. But I wanted to actually see him. I wanted to have his darshan. I don't want to just see idols, deities, statues, or swayambhuv situations where he manifests. I want to see him. So how can that happen? And as I was traveling, I was always delving into the Puranas, the Upanishads, the Vedas. You know, what is it? Veda Vedanta Jaggesham Brahma Rudradi Vanditam Sri Nṛsiṁha Maha. He is mentioned in the Vedas. He is the Vedas. The Vedas come from him. So and it was like every single person in the Puranas is fearless. The Ramayana, down to the little monkey who was throwing the rocks in the ocean, fearless. I mean, the Pandava, fearless. Even the Kauravas, fearless. Everybody was fearless. And we have fear. And yet we have this incredible philosophy, which is anti-fear. Go against fear. And so I had this, like, and I was really like, and I was also young. I was very strong. And so I pushed myself more and more. How can I push the limits of danger? How can I reach what fear is? I have a taste of it. And really, really stupid things I did. But now, obviously, nothing happened. I look back, you know, and if I was married back then, my wife would have killed me. But I just, I wanted to reach that threshold of, are you going to come? Obviously, nothing, not even a tiny fraction of what Prahlad experienced. But I was like, well, wait, obviously I ain't Prahlad, and I'm here in, you know, Andhra Pradesh, you know, not in Hiranyakashipu. But you said you would protect, you would come. So then I want that.
Yeah.
You have to give it to me. I was very, you said it, you're my father, so do it. Don't hold back. And so I kept pushing it, and every time I pushed it, and I was like, okay, I think this is it finally. I pushed it too far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, many times.
Situations.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my parents were in fear of me traveling by myself, and I didn't realize I probably, you know, tortured them for a long time because I just did whatever I wanted. I wasn't concerned with others. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Go off and do your thing. But back then there was no WhatsApp. Mom and dad could just be like, hey, you good?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Yeah.
Back then there was ISD, STD. And every time I tried to call, it would ring and not work. And I'd be like smashing the phone, the poor Indian guy at the stall. Like, I'd be like, this, because it's like, I want to just keep doing my thing. I overstayed my visa like so many times. And nobody bothered me. I just kept doing, and every situation where it became more and more on the verge of death or dangerous, where are you? Like, why did this work out? You were supposed to save me. It's not how it's supposed to work out. So then I would push more and more and more. And obviously when I got older and got married, then all of a sudden you have this delusional idea that there's some sort of fear, irrational.
Right.
I don't know if it's from the feminine where they're more like, whoa, wait a minute, babe, hold on a second.
Right.
You got a wife and kid.
Right.
You can't just run across the street and not look. Obviously, I had intelligence, but I still wanted that in my life, and still did things when I was married that I obviously never shared because that's my thing. It's nothing to do with my wife. I never pushed my Nṛsiṁha thing, my love on my wife or my kid. It's like, this is my thing. If you love him, great. And I stopped doing the crazy stuff probably when I was 29 or something. because I realized that all the mystical experiences that I had, that I was intoxicated by, wanting more, stopped when I got married. The visions, the things that I would never share with anyone, stopped. And it was a bit of a shock for me. It wasn't negative, because I had read about it. Prahlad talks about it. The Saptarishis talk about
Prahlad
it.
talks about it, yeah.
Dhruva's mother talks about it. Everybody talks about it. Parvati talks about it. Nardrishi talks about it. But you don't think it's going to happen to you. And then boom, here I am. So then you become in this other situation where then therefore those human beings in your life become your dharma, your tapasya, your duty. And then by doing it nicely, you please the Lord. So then I kind of,
Is it because your attention is like not fully in one point anymore? It's like a little bit more now spread because there's other people involved.
Yeah. I mean, even like I was telling you how when the baby was in the womb, we were doing yagyas, bathing in holy rivers every day. We were subtle things like that. Or I would be doing yagyas at home every day, Narasimha homas. I didn't care if she sleeps. It's not my problem. I'm doing my thing.
Right.
So that the energy still, I do my puja. I would constantly be hankering, when am I going to go back to India? When am I going to go back to India?
Whoa.
Like, when can I, and like, Narasimha, how long do I got to do this? Like how, like, really, was I supposed to do this? And even when I was young, you kind of convince yourself that you're going to avoid situations. Like I was, like marriage. And it was more because of the responsibility aspect. Even though I was very responsible, I was doing my thing. And that thing would always be front, not my other expectations. So though I was, though marriage comes, though relationships come, they go, they come, they go, he always remained at the forefront. Never. And then my hankering and desiring, like fantasize, when can I have that taste again? That when can I get the addiction again of and it happened, like, many times. But definitely the mystical stuff, stopped. But as these later years, as I'm getting older now, they've started to come, especially during the second book, they've really started to come back. Maybe because I'm older, I don't know. We don't know. We can't speculate on these. Obviously the divine has their own, but I think it's more because you don't give in to the negative. That's another thing I have a problem with is anxiety and depression kind of also come from fear. I don't bag people that say they have anxiety and depression, because they probably do most of the time. But because fear was never in I never had empathy. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you're depressed, bro? Wake up. Come on, let's go.
Right.
Like our friend, Rade, he tells me all the time, he's like, yo, man, you got to get to the gym. Like, you got to, like, stay strong, stay healthy. Come on, what's going on?
Right.
Like, positive, like, what's the big deal? Why are you negative? So as I was young, I was like, what do you mean somebody's, like, tired or depressed? Like, come on. But as I got older and you see the influx of insane, just the material world is so awesome and fascinating. How it comes at you every 6 ways from Sunday. There's never a dull moment. And for me, like we discussed in the car, the grihasta or married life, for those who aren't in an religious institution, married life is the most potent position to be in the material world. If you really want to increase your spiritual potency or bank account, whatever you call it, the sukriti. Being a renunciate.
You're saying grihasta is a better position to do those things.
Yeah. And I'm saying what I totally was against when I was young. But as I got older, I mean, I'm not that old, but I realized, wait a minute. God wants not just blind faith, which, God, there's so much blind faith in the world. He wants tapa, tapasya, penance. Also, are you real, or is this just like a fad?
Right.
You know, like an insta fad.
Right.
Ooh, now I'm a yoga or whatever. You know, I'm a spiritual life coach, and then 2 years down the road, they're back to being Billy Bob or something.
Right.
No, he wants to see the. So in the Grihastha situation, irregardless, it doesn't stop even if it ends. Breakups, divorces, you don't just stop. You got kids. Unless you don't have kids, then you're a bit of blessed. But if you got kids, it doesn't stop. You can't just stop dealing with the parent of your child. If you're so, it's austerity and it's tapasya. And if you understand the root of it is for not your pleasure, but for their pleasure, the divinity's pleasure, I'm going to do it well.
Right.
Even if it ends, I always tell people, do better. Don't have fear. Nobody's perfect, even though this is like kind of hippy-dippy. But as I got older, I'm like, God, it's so true. People struggle with anxiety, depression. I was never abused in my life. How many people in this world, how many people in our institution, how many people in spiritual cults, in spiritual institutions are being abused or have been abused?
Yeah.
I had no fraction of an understanding of that because I wasn't. My dad was like a lion. My mother was even more. They would have literally killed anyone if they touched me or my brothers or sisters. So I was fortunate.
You were saying about renunciants versus grihastha.
Back to that, yeah. So back to the sannyasis, if they are actually sannyasis, behaving like a sannyasi. Brahmacharis, if they're actually... I got a problem with the brahmachari ashram. I don't think it's... They got nothing on married people. And the real swamis, like Madhva, Ramanuja, Shankara, they themselves said the same thing. It just went in my ear and out the other. I was like, no, grihastha ashram sucks. Forget that crap. Right. What do you mean you got to like do your duty and serve your wife? Forget it. So I had that epiphany. I was like, it all started coming back. I was like, oh God, Madhvas, look at the 6 Goswamis. They were Babajis. They weren't wearing saffron.
Right.
Who did they deal with all day? Married people. They would come to them, ask for advice. These are very, very advanced human beings on a material and spiritual level, even though it looked like they had nothing, they had everything. And so and they themselves also praised the Grihastha ashram. Prahlad Maharaj had to be a Grihastha. And that was how long ago? If it was such an amazing thing to like run off into the jungle and with your, wooden shoes and a kamandalu and whatever, eat berries, you don't think Narasimha would have said yes? Don't fall into the deep, dark well of Grihastha life.
Right.
Yeah. And Grihasthas freak out when you say that, oh God, the deep, dark well. And then they start biting their nails like, oh, the women are like, oh God, I'm not so good to my husband. And the men are like, oh shoot, I should have been nicer. It's not that. We get distracted. And you shouldn't. You should have a balance. And that balance, that's such tapasya, right?
Yeah.
You have your wife and children. You got to be in the gray. And you just got to keep going. And it's not always cotton candy and Skittles. It's not. It keeps you grounded spiritually because you have to do your svadharma, your duty.
Yeah.
And it's not for you.
I want to come back to this. This is a really fascinating topic. But I also want to ask you about where did the angle of God of yoga originate? Because you could like when you think of Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, you don't necessarily think that.
No, you don't.
But that's a really cool angle to present him.
Yeah, all those years, even from the beginning in Ahobalam, I'll never forget it. The beginning in Ahobalam, when I was when the Yoga Narasimha deity or idol, if I say those words, a lot of Indians get upset, even though that's what they're called.
Idols?
Idols or deities, yeah. Was sitting outside against a pole, broken in half. Yeah. Ahobalam doesn't want to know that history. They don't want anyone knowing that. This deity was sitting there. Even then, my friend Madhu, or the Swamis that were God of yoga, yoga God. If they knew English, that's what they would say.
Really?
It went through one ear and out the other. I was just obsessed with finding his temples. And then every state, now it's Andhra and Telangana. Before it was Andhra. So I went through and found hundreds in Andhra. Tamil Nadu was out of this world. Every temple where he was Shanti or Yoga Nṛsiṁha, God of yoga, yoga God. Yoga come from him. If they spoke English, that's what they would say. From Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, up to Joshimat, past Rishikesh, Bengal, you name it. Even up in Kathmandu. Kathmandu, Nepal only has Ugra Nṛsiṁha. They don't have Shanti forms. Mm-hmm. But every single temple out of the 622, I think it is, Yoga Nṛsiṁha temples I found, God of yoga. It just hit me probably about 8 years ago, whoa. And then all my friends that do yoga, or they're big self-proclaimed yoga teachers, they went and did a 2-week course, and now they're the best teacher in the entire planet. But they got millions of followers, and then they make up these weird things of yoga, and it ain't yoga. It's just their concoction, because they missed the point, the foundation. It's not for looking good, being hot, attracting the opposite sex. Nah. It's for removing envy and jealousy from us, which is not, envy and jealousy is not biological. So this is what Nṛsiṁha taught Prahlad. Biological stuff is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. We all do that. Some a little more, some a little less. Some in the mode of goodness, some in the mode of passion or ignorance. So we are not the senses in the body. We don't need to be controlled by eating, sleeping, and mating and defending. We can eat not too much, not too little, not sleep too much, not sleep too little. Obviously to have one wife's probably better, you won't get so many gray hairs, and, life will be easy. But and then defending, it's not ours anyways. You got to be rational. But
yeah,
envy and jealousy is not biological. Yet the entire world is plagued by it. Prahlad said himself, even back then. Look at the world today. Oh, why does she get that? Why does he have her? I want that car. Why did he get lucky? That's so, it's such, and that is so against the foundation of any spiritual tradition.
Yeah.
Look, whether Jesus or all the 4 sects in India, the Vaishnav sect, any spirit, if you are filled with envy and jealousy, good luck. So Nṛsiṁha removed that from Hiranyakashipu when he tore his intestines out. The intestines actually represent envy and jealousy.
Right.
And he knocked his crown off, he removed his pride. Those are the 3 things that are not biological. Hiranyakashipu was an unbelievable human, man, powerful, dutiful, probably loved everybody. Learned, unbelievably learned. He was doing pujas, yagya. His kingdom was out of this world. And his only problem was, that beautiful kid. It just tweaked him out. He was like, no, I'm God.
Right.
Like so many of these self-proclaimed gurus and life coaches, I'm God, I'm Shiva, one of them says he's Nṛsiṁha. Even a woman, I'm Nṛsiṁha. The amount of them I met along my life. And I never got mad. I was like, okay, we'll see where they end up.
Right.
Envy and jealousy. So after Prahlad calmed Nṛsiṁha and he went into the Padmasana, as we can see on the front cover of the book here, and he was with his hands over his knees. He that's the book. Yeah. Prahlad asked Prahlad for so many things. Please forgive my father, he said. Nṛsiṁha said, but have you actually forgiven your father? Because there's words and then there's actually, have you let go?
Yeah.
Resentment. Look into so then they went on a journey of traveling to different places. You have Garudadri from Ahobalam is quite many kilometers where Garuda got to carry them because he was depressed because he couldn't. Normally he brings Vishnu on his back, but Nṛsiṁha came from the pillar.
Right.
So Nṛsiṁhadeva facilitated that, brought him and Prahlad to this mountain, and they did not what we consider yoga meditation, like all this. No, Nṛsiṁha helped Prahlad cleanse himself of, don't be controlled by the mind, the uncontrollable chittas. We are not the senses in the body. And, we're connected with the divinity in our soul. This is all temporary. That's the pure essence of yoga. So that's when I understood. And a lot of these swamis that spoke English, including Pejwar, said Prahlad is the first yogi. He's the real yogi. Because he's being tortured. He's just sitting there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. He wasn't chanting Hare Krishna like movements want to claim. No, he was chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Over and over. People are coming to torture him and kill him. He was just completely equipoised and trying not to control the situation because he couldn't. He's not the controller. So from that relationship with Nṛsiṁha and Prahlad at the end, I understood I have to bring this back into the limelight of the world. This is he is the god of yoga, not Krishna, Kali, Durga. Oh my God, the divine feminine Kali. Like, Durga, because, it's like, get at it. Ganesh or Shiva or Saraswati. Like, people just make up any garbage. Yeah. It's not rooted in any scripture. And this is rooted in scripture and by great, great saints thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to kind of establish that fact again and bring it into the limelight of the yoga scene. And everybody can still do what they want. Beer yoga, goat yoga, cat yoga, acro yoga, which is no longer popular. Whatever they do. But if you really want to get the essence of yoga, which is becoming free from I am not the controller, these senses shouldn't control me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you shouldn't walk out of a yoga class feeling all hot and heavy and sexy.
Right.
I'm sorry. I feel so good. My body, my senses, my. So I think the West has done injustice to the West in the yoga scene by creating a lie or just making up stuff to suit their financial agenda. And then they say, yeah, but that's your interpretation of yoga. It's like, get out of here. That's like saying, you go into a surgeon's office. I'm not a surgeon. This dude's been doing it for, 25, 30 years. And I'm like, well, that's kind of your interpretation. I'm gonna cut the heart open my way. And, because I feel, because of, it's just such a feeling it's like, get out of here.
Yeah. You
couldn't do that with any other thing in the world, but somehow with yoga and spirituality, they've just butchered it. Even the Christians. Jesus was unbelievable. He was like a yogi. He was out of this world. And how the things have been changed and altered to suit political agendas or finance or whatever, They missed the plot. Jesus would never say anybody else who's worshiping God in a different form from another part of the world is wrong.
Yeah, or they're going to hell forever.
It's like, get out of town. And they're not real Christians to think that.
Yeah.
So, and I met on my journey Christians in Kerala, fathers that were like, oh, you like Nṛsiṁha? I love Nṛsiṁha. Let me take you to his temples. But first, can we pray to Mother Mary and Jesus?
Really?
And Mother Mary and Jesus were dressed in a sari and a dhoti with bindis.
Wow.
And then the temple was a South Indian Gopur. It was the craziest thing. I walked in there. I was like, what the hell is going on? Did they miss something?
Wow.
Yeah. And Father David, he was one of the most incredible guys. He took me for 3 days and his ambassador, dressed like and he came into every temple in Kerala with me. There was only 6 he showed me. And he bowed. And he said, at the end, he was like, Nṛsiṁha is my Kula Dev.
Wow.
And I still really love him. And he was like a father, and that was a real mystical experience for me, that dealing with him, because it showed me how, God consciousness is not, it's free from judgment, envy, and jealousy, and fear.
Yeah.
Fear is, oh God, they have something else. They know more than me. I better destroy them.
Like a threat.
A threat. And boy, do we see a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
Man, do we see a lot of that in our ISKCON movement. Everywhere I travel, the amount of fear, which obviously turns into envy and jealousy, controlling, hurting devotees. I would never disrespect Hiranyakashipu by calling them little Hiranyakashipus, because Hiranyakashipu was so amazing. But same mentality of pride. I am the temple president. I am the GBC. No, you're not. You're a servant of the servant of the servant.
Yeah.
Of the servant. It's lost. So Nṛsiṁhadeva needs to be plugged back in to the contemporary world, whether in the West or in India, so that he can start doing why he incarnated, which is removing this envy, jealousy, and fear. And, reestablishing a true foundation of love, not just words. And you see Prahlad's love. Free everybody from envy and jealousy, he said. Let me tell you something. If God came to me and asked me if I wanted a boon, I could think of couldn't you?
Oh,
Imagine.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be like, well, look, I can build this Nṛsiṁha temple, that, and simultaneously, maybe I can get like a Lamborghini. There was that house I saw, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's just natural. We're human. But here's this kid. Nṛsiṁha was like, ask anything. And he said, free everyone from envy and jealousy. Whew. Damn. That's just so awesome.
Or his form, or when he was in Chaitanya Leela, like, let everyone be liberated except me, or let me be last, or let me take on all the troubles and reactions of everyone else's sins.
Unbelievable.
Like amazing mercy and grace.
Grace, yeah. Look, Jesus as well. The difference I find, obviously, in the Vaishnavism is we don't have a philosophy of the grace and mercy, but let me keep sinning because I'll be forgived.
Right.
Like you look, Hiranyakashipu was eradicated. I'll never forget, most people don't know this verse, but it's really hardcore. The demigods were worried because Hiranyakashipu was the most powerful, still to this day. No, I don't really like the word demon. No non-devotee, non-spiritualist ever had as much power as him. Not Ravan, not any of them.
Right.
They were worried Vishnu wouldn't be able to kind of nip this one in the bud.
Really?
So it was like a spiritual game, they're fighting and you go, oh my God, he's grabbed him. Oh, he escaped.
Right.
Because they really couldn't see, but it was being narrated by Nard Rishi and Brahma, and he grabbed him. At one point, when he became Jwala, he burst into flames, like he had enough. And that's when he knocked his head, and then all his hands came. They said he was Panch Mukh, 5 heads came, showing all the different moods. And then he started putting his fingers in his throat, controlling him to get him down. Because Hiranyakashipu he was a powerful man.
Yeah.
He fought till the last second. And he smashed him down. And then, boom, he removed this fear, envy, and jealousy. And he was just so, every time I read that, I was like, it brings hairs, or I speak about it. But just before he did it, Hiranyakashipu escaped again.
Oh, right, yeah. And they were worried. The demigods were like, oh no, he escaped.
Yeah. So there's a verse where everyone's asking, where is he?
Yeah.
They thought he escaped. But Nṛsiṁha was covered in blood. And where did he go? And they said, Nṛsiṁha looked at his nails, and all of Hiranyakashipu's bits were in his nails. Because he ripped them to pieces. So then he started flicking his fingers. That's why they say you're walking on Hiranyakashipu in Ahobalam. Hiranyakashipu is so lucky. he became that place. So he flicked, and then Nṛsiṁhadeva started laughing hysterically. Obviously, I won't try to mimic, but can you imagine? And it sent shockwaves of fear to the demigods. Like, they were like, what? WTF? Like, he's flicking Hiranyakashipu's body parts out of his nails. And then, when the smoke cleared and they saw Hiranyakashipu was gone, then he took the body and threw on the ground and put his foot on it. It's amazing stuff like that. And the fact that we criticize, like, demons, no one in the history has ever been able to make an asan and the Lord sat on it. But he sat on Hiranyakashipu's throne. And those were those prayers by Indra. But Brahma, I made you such a nice asan. You would never sit on it or even touch it. And yet you sit on this demon's throne. So when they, people like criticize Hiranyakashipu, I'm just like, I would love to be Hiranyakashipu. The Lord like tear you apart. And who did Nṛsiṁha touch before Prahlad? The demon. He was fighting with him. Prahlad came after and sat on his lap.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, this the mercy, tearing out our envy and jealousy.
What would you say to someone who says that where the Hare Krishna movement and Gaudiya Vaishnavas are, their main Ishtadev is Krishna or Lord Chaitanya, so why this focus on Nṛsiṁhadeva?
They missed the plot. I mean, I'll be honest, if I can. The Gaudiyas have missed the plot a long time ago, even when Bhakti Siddhanta was there. The infighting, the crazy manipulation, the same thing that has unfortunately happened in ISKCON. When the leader goes, then, So they missed the plot. Nṛsiṁhadeva is like the foundation of bhakti. He's the foundation of Sanatan Dharma. If without him, you can't get to Radha and Krishna.
Right.
Because, Krishna doesn't, Nṛsiṁha's whole thing is, I will remove your anartas.
Yeah.
Krishna's detached. If you want to be a badmash, go to Vrindavan. Look at the rascals that are in Vrindavan. He doesn't care. If you're good, bad, he's totally neutral. Now, if you have 1 ounce of purity, like just he'll be like, oh. But it's very difficult to get him. That's why we're trying to aspire to get him. But through tapasya, Nṛsiṁhadeva is easily approachable. Prahlad says that. Through tapa, he will come to you. And then when he comes to you, your anartas will be completely removed. And the biggest ones are envy and jealousy. Look at the Pandavas. They ate, slept, and mated and defended. How much time did they have with Krishna? The Kauravas. Look at Bhima. Look at you. All these guys, they had how many wives, children with, Bhima with Hidimbi.
Right.
I mean, come on. We want to be so fanatic. And the Gaudiyas are known for that, so fanatic about things. But this Rasa Tattva and stuff, they missed the point. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur we don't talk about this stuff, Ras Leela stuff. Puri Maharaj as well. I remember some swamis in our movement went to see him, and he shouted at them. He said such heavy things. How dare you think you have the right to know about the pastimes, intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna.
Wow.
Especially if you're ruled by lust, he said. And these are some big shot gurus in our movement. And I know for me, I don't see a distinction between Krishna and Nṛsiṁha. He's the same. I used to have this talk with Indra, who also loved Nṛsiṁha. He never bothered me. He was a heavy guy, Indra. But with me, never. I never saw that. And I always used to say, I don't see a difference. I see Krishna, Radha, I don't see a difference. It's just a different mood.
Right.
But I'm attracted to that different mood. Mm-hmm. And if in my heart, buried deep down, the Krishna is there at my essence, then I'm sure Nṛsiṁha is not going to block me from getting there. But if I go to Nṛsiṁha, whatever they call it, Nṛsiṁha Loka, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like, I'm not thinking about that. That's same like the Christians. Oh, if you don't this, you're going to go to hell.
Well, I hear people used to say stuff like that, like, "Oh, if you don't do something like this, you're gonna go to Vaikuntha instead of Goloka," and which I understand. Like from his level, that's like something so.
True.
It's like so relative to him and what he was thinking. But for us who are like, or me at least, I can't like
know.
relate with that. Like, I'll be anywhere but here. That's fine.
Him and I, we gelled well because we had the same fierceness of our love.
Yeah.
So he didn't need to talk to me. I got it.
Right.
But he was just worshiping in that platform, worshiping him. So that's like the gopis, Kripalu told me how the gopis would refer to Krishna. Don't scratch us with your nails like you tore Hiranyakashipu apart. Nṛsiṁha Krishna. Yeah. And then there was another pastime. I don't want to get into that because I don't want, fanatics to flip out because they don't know these pastimes.
Right.
But, what's the oldest temple in Nandagram or even Vrindavan? Way older than the original temples. Nanda Maharaj's 5,000-year-old Nṛsiṁhadeva temple in Nandagram.
Yes.
What's the oldest temple in Govardhan? The Nṛsiṁhadeva temple
Up on that hill.
Yeah, the archaeological department says these are the oldest, not the Krishna temples.
Wow.
Okay, so if the Gaudiyas want to get into a blah blah, who's this? It's like fine, but you're missing the point. It's not a competition.
Right.
And to them it is. Krishna's better, this is better. Even that Swamiji, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. You're missing the point. It's like, okay, we can say you shouldn't deviate, but I don't, I see Lord Shiva, I see Indra, I see all these people who offered Narasimha prayers, who got to see him.
Yeah.
I see them as a portal to get to him because if they already got to him, clearly they're pretty advanced. And clearly they're devotees.
Yeah.
Okay, now if people want to worship them and get material stuff, good for them. But if I have the chance to ever meet them, I'm going to be like, can you get me closer? Or what tapasyas do I have to do?
Yeah.
I don't care about the materials part of them where they give karma kandi griha medi stuff. They're still pure, amazing devotees.
In the absolute sense, like that, if something's absolute, like Krishna, Nṛsiṁhadeva, everything can be accommodated by the absolute. It's not like, it's like this is the right way or that's the right. Well, there is stuff like that but I would say when it comes specifically to the forms of Krishna and things, like everything can be accommodated. Mm-hmm. It's not that one's good and one's bad.
Well, yeah, and as humans, we always do that, right?
Yeah, as humans, we do that, exactly.
This political party, that, but who gives a crap?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right.
And I know people say, well, that's because you're uneducated. You need to be up to date. No, you need to realize we're going to die. And I just was driving home last night with my friend and he's like, oh, do you remember Ananda Loka? Remember he was that black Prabhupada disciple? And there's only a few of them.
Yeah.
And this guy was such an awesome man. He was such a devout Nṛsiṁha devotee. My son Vayu gave him a Nṛsiṁha shalagram. And I thought the guy was going to be around forever. He's up at 1 a.m. every day, 64 rounds a day. He was a famous tennis coach, one of the best in the world.
Really?
Unbelievable guy. And he was taking sannyas. And he just died 2 months ago. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, he drove his car from Florida to Texas to do some programs, and he got there and just boom, died. He had crazy cancer. And I was like, boom, that's it. And then here we are talking about which political party, or should we take a vaccine, or should we worship this aspect because in my tradition. It's like, come on, man.
Right.
The moment of death will actually be the real test.
Yeah.
And that's what I always used to pray for when I was young. I was like, kill me now, kill me now, kill me now, kill me now. So I put myself in those situations.
Whoa.
Even last summer when I was in Ahobilam with my son Vayu, like I told you, we were going in the rickshaw and then the tiger was there and I knew it was Scarface. So I jumped out and it was like, there he was. I could see him off in the distance, with his... He just looked back, what do you want? I was like, oh, it's you. You're still here?
Oh my gosh.
And like, you know, never messed with me. I never was blessed. Because Prahlad says, take me, die at a young age so I can have the intelligence to focus my mind on you, not my wife, not my husband, not my kids, not my grandparents, not my parents, not my job. And then boom, next thing you know, we got all this building up on our shoulders. At the moment of death, you think which aspect of Krishna you worship is going to matter if you don't even think about that?
Right.
If you're thinking about, you forgot to get some food from Whole Foods or whatever, it's some crazy thing, boom. Yeah. People, so yeah, they get lost in the tiny little details of unimportant
Yeah, I love
things.
that.
Yeah, and I never did. I was just like Narasimha. Nobody messed with me. And I haven't had very much support from ISKCON, even though I was born in it. But from people that are doing things in life, whether they're accomplished materially or spiritually, I've had such amazing support. Just verbal support was enough for me.
Yeah.
It was a driving force. But yeah, it shocked me. I thought, some of the people in the movement I was born in, I grew up in, would be happy. No, because maybe it took the limelight off of them, or maybe they couldn't go to these temples, or maybe, but it was never a competition. It was just me trying to share. So Ayendra was one of those pure souls that I would just show up, and he'd be like, "Oh, what's new? Where you been? Like, which temples have you seen? Show me. I want to."
He was
see.
like supportive of and wanted to know more about it.
He took me to a Swami in ISKCON who was in Vrindavan, who was one of the few ISKCON guru sannyasis that I very much love and respect. And he was like, you are going to help him with his book project. And you're going to vow right now in front of Radhe Shyama Sundar.
Whoa.
So he remembered that, Swami. So when I was doing my first book and second book, and unfortunately he died, but he was always a support. Like, he would call me and just be like, what's going on? How are you doing with the second book? You need anything? And that to me was bigger than it was monumental for me, because it's very rare. You will get bogged down by envy and jealousy, because again, who does he think he is for doing this? And I never thought I would experience that. Like, wait, I'm just doing my thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and here I want to share this with people. But I'm met with opposition.
Yeah, that's interesting. You were telling me some places they don't allow you to come there and stuff.
Yeah, it's just envy and jealousy. And I'm not throwing that out there. It is. Like, who am I to judge anybody? Even though I obviously do. But especially when I get older, I realize, look at their action. Not their being, their being. So-and-so, why do we have to say they're a bleep in this or bleep that? No, their behavior is wrong. Their behavior is mean. Their behavior it's offensive. And that's okay to say without people coming at you and saying you're committing Vaishnava aparad.
Right.
And let me tell you something. I'll speak like a Floridian. I ain't no Vaishnav. I'm not a Vaishnav. I don't say I'm a devotee. I don't say I'm a Vaishnav. I'm just me. And I love Narasimha. Do I know what a Vaishnav is? How many qualities do they have? What is it, 26 or 24? Something
I think 26.
Maybe I might have one. Maybe. But it says a Vaishnav has all of these qualities, not one. A devotee I'm not a devotee. And I can sure as heck tell you, neither are a lot of other people. But the problem is they think they are. And unfortunately, whether in India, in the West, a lot of those types of people that think they are holding positions of power or are self-proclaimed gurus or teachers or swamis or swaminis,
Right.
So as I've gotten older, it's also kept me more like equipoised and humble. Just be like water and flow in wherever the door opens, and just, you're never, why get hung up if people, don't appreciate what you did.
I like the point of being yourself.
Yeah.
Like, just unapologetically.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, I'm just me and I just
Yeah.
love Narasimha. Like, that's I think more devotees need to be like that. I mean,
just me.
just like accept who you are.
Yeah.
With all of it, which the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Don't try to be something you're not, kind of thing. Because that just, it just.
It's inauthentic.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm not gonna. If I've experienced things in my life that are, whatever traumatic, you keep things to yourself. But as I always tell people, like, sometimes we focus on things like lust. Good luck. Curbing that.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah.
What about trying not to be envious and jealous first? Why not looking at everyone as like, we're all equal, even the living entities.
Like that painting of in the Bhagavad Gita of like Vidya Vinay Sampane, like the sadhu sees everyone equal, the dog, the this and that. Like, let's try to do that basic thing. Like, just be human, and try to inculcate this very basic quality of seeing Krishna in other people's hearts, whether you like them or don't like them or don't agree with them.
Absolutely. I'm not pure, and so many others aren't pure, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I like to eat. I like to. Well, I don't really care how much sleep I get. I don't. If I could not sleep, I'd be happy, because it's such a waste of time. We all like to mate, and we all like to defend what we have. I don't have that much. I got my puja stuff, my deities. As I'm getting older, I'm trying to make it less. But, who knows, in another 10 years, maybe I'll have more. But I've definitely always try to remember, okay, if someone's mean or envious to me, don't fight fire with fire. Just fight fire with water. Who cares? Walk away. See you later. I got too much. I didn't spend my entire life focusing on him to be thrown off by some fear-mongering little person, whether it's a man or a woman, whether they're the president or whether they're, I'm sorry. Because all that matters to me is him and his people. So I focus, I try to focus more on that. But you're going to always have road speed bumps,
Yeah. Some people also are afraid of like, oh, you're not supposed to worship this type of Nṛsiṁhadev form because, and the fear of,
let's get into
he's
that.
Narahari. Hari means one who takes away. He's going to take away from me. He's going to make my life harder. No. Just like in the way how, they carved that deity of Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva in Mayapur. They, when he first got carved, like he burned down like, it's like this concept of Krishna or Nrsimha who could like hurt you in some type of way. That to me is weird. Like, it's a weird concept because it's like, if this is your father, if this is your God, why would he want to purposely hurt you? Yeah. And then secondly, I guess maybe the more relatable thing is that he'll take away things from you to make him closer, to make you surrender to him more. Yeah. So what is your opinion on that stuff? Well,
yeah, that's like an again, fear that they in ISKCON that they put into it to the general populace, which is total. I mean, it's bogus, it's garbage, it's crap, it's not true, it's not real. It's not mentioned in any Shastra, Scripture, Purana, Veda, Upanishad. Ramanuja didn't say it, Madhva didn't say it, Shankara didn't say it, Shiva didn't say it, Brahman didn't say it. So, booyah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the main thing is, this kid comes up to this man-lion God and sits on his lap and is hugged by him. If that's not bhav and rasa, I don't know what is.
And then he licks him
and tells him, I'm sorry it took me so long. And Narasimha starts crying before Prahlad. I mean, come on. At his most, not fearful, at his most willingness to be calm, he's calmed by this boy.
Yeah.
And you think if we have some tiny inkling of love for him, he's going to like take everything away from us? It's BS. There's nowhere where it's written that we shouldn't worship Ugra Nṛsimha, except a Ugra Nṛsimha Shaligram. That's written in the Agama Kosha, Shaligram Kosha. Ugra Nṛsimha form, Srila Prabhupada, who is just such an unbelievable, amazing person, said, All of his grihastas in their homes should have what painting at their front door? The Ugra Nṛsiṁha painting, where he's like, it's blood everywhere, he's ripping. You know, if he was so concerned about it, he would have been like, maybe put Lakshmi Nṛsiṁha there, you know, guys.
Right.
No, Ugra Nṛsiṁha is the best for grihastas.
He told Jadurani Mataji, more blood.
More blood. He's removing the envy and jealousy and pride, which plagues grihastas like on an epic scale.
Right.
The worst disease in this world is not cancer, it's envy and jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, end the war, end the war. No, end envy and jealousy. I mean, even people successful, billionaires envy other billionaires. Can you imagine the illogic stupidity? Oh, he's got like 2 billion more than me.
Right.
You know, beautiful, when I used to model, gorgeous women would envy other gorgeous. And I'm like, are you messed up in the head?
Wow.
Like, why? So with Nṛsiṁha, no. It's a total misconception, made up by a lot of, I'll be straight, fake gurus, self-proclaimed teachers, swamis. They just make it up to put fear, either to get people's antique idols from their homes, especially in the South. People used to worship Nṛsiṁha in the home. There'd be like 1,000-year-old deities. I have many. Swamis would come in and say, oh, very dangerous. Shouldn't worship Nṛsiṁha, even though their family's been worshiping for 500 years and they're like billionaires. And there's been no death, no kids born with any diseases. And then all of a sudden in 2016, Swamiji comes and says, oh, very dangerous. But I'll take him from you and I'll worship him.
Whoa.
So it's if we look into this, like I think I was telling you the other day how I had to be practical from an anthropological point of view. Like, as much as I couldn't stand education when I was young, I ended up becoming like an academic in this field. Research, right? Not only was it Nṛsiṁha temples I would visit every single temple in the village. I saw the 108 Divyadeshams like 10 times each. The Char Dham so many times, everywhere, searching for him. And, wow, yeah, sometimes I forget that I just had a bit of I went back in time, like, some of the crazy things I did, going to Gomukh. Yeah, like...
It's hard to get up there, right?
Yeah, and I wore the wooden shoes and...
To go up there?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my God.
I mean, but that was, again, another testing the limits of maybe my stupidity. But with Nṛsiṁha, he doesn't take what he will. He says, if you worship my Tawni Ugra Nṛsiṁha form, which I only appeared for Prahlad in a particular form, Stanu, Jwala, then I will remove your obstacles, which is your wife, your husband, your kids, and I will give you me, just like Prahlad had. But that was a particular, like Stanu Nṛsiṁha in Mayapur, you know, I mean, if we're talking honestly, but, you know, the institution just sometimes does whatever they want. Prahlad Nṛsiṁha is not a form. It's like made up. It's not in the Shilpa Shastras or anything. Right.
When they were making the deity, the Stapati was like, if Nṛsiṁhadev is going to be 4 feet, Prahlad has to be like an amoeba size. That's what he said.
Yeah. Or like the one
Prabhu wrote about that.
Or the one in Germany, the Prahlad Nṛsiṁha deity.
Yes.
It's beautiful, odd-looking deity, actually. But it's not a form. Stapati just made it up. Or ISKCON told him. A true Stapati would never make a form that's not mentioned in the Shastra. So this Stanu Nṛsiṁha is not a form we're supposed to worship. I don't care what anyone says. The twins in Mayapur, I've been researching this for almost 30 years. I know what I'm talking about. We are not supposed to worship that form, and he did not become like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If he's in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do to the Chankazi?
He scratched him up.
Yeah. So let's be realistic, not stupid. So, but the form is there, and it's awesome. So worship him. But he doesn't.
I guess that's where the fear comes from. If someone says that, like, "Oh, we're not supposed to worship."
Well, no, I just tell the reality. But why should we go to him asking for anything?
Right.
Yeah, remove my obstacles. Forget lust, envy, and jealousy. Remove my fear. See, when he emerged from the pillar, Stanu, he was there to protect Prahlad and find this rascal. It's just like you. Say, for instance, you're up here, and your wife and kids are down there. All of a sudden, one of your children someone's trying to kill. You know this, but then on your way down, I'm like, oh, Nama, can you grab me some grape juice from the fridge? And then you're going down there and you're, oh, but I need you to do this for me. Can you send an email for this for me? I need you to get that done for me. Just common sense. He's completely focused. And then he went into this form, which we're not even supposed to really talk about, where his face split. The left side was looking for Hiranyakashipu, and his hand was pointing, and then another one was pointing at him because he had like 16 arms. He's like, I found you. And his eye was looking with anger. And the right side was looking down at Prahlad like, I'm here. And then they started fighting. And that's when Hiranyakashipu that dude was so badass. He just started laughing. He's like, look at you.
Yeah, who is this?
Yeah, he's like, you're like unbelievable. You did this for me? And then of course he mocked him.
Right.
And then he just, look at how fearless that guy, he just jumped at him.
Yeah.
If I could have that type of fear, whoo. Hiranyakashipu was like awesome. In that sense, the stupid fear, And so yeah, people, I'm not saying they should fear Mayapur Narasimha, but they should know the reality of his form. Don't be going there saying, oh, my son should get into a good college, and can you help my daughter get married to? So, come on. Let's do some real prayers that matter. You took the whole trip to go there, and that's what you're praying for. You can sit in your house and pray for that. Do some real tapasya. Like offer a lamp every day and, remove my envy and jealousy. That's what I say. So all misconceptions, especially in our movement, and even in the Gaudiya, even in, we won't mention any names, gurus who say they're Narasimha, the stuff they talk about, they're building temples around the world of Narasimha, is totally nonsense. Their idea of Narasimha. Nrsimha cannot be a human being.
Right.
I'm sorry. But, I met them along the way. And, I always look at it like absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's the most powerful thing? We spoke about that, being worshipped. Whew. That's hard. Not being rich and famous. That's also, you can have a good time, but people will just use you and leave for your money, your fame, or being worshipped. They'll do anything for you. They'll even believe you're God. Like people believed Hiranyakashipu was God. So and trust me, we have a lot of those types of people in the world now.
Yeah.
So, preaching whatever nonsense, and tons of people are running to them. And Nṛsiṁhadeva dissipates that and destroys that. So we need him, What is he called? The Rakshobhuvana, the universal protector. We need him.
Yeah.
Especially India. What's going on over there? So Narendra Modi even says, Narasimha, Rakshobhuvana, the protector of Sanatan. So definitely.
I want to talk about your second book. Well, let's talk about the first book. So I showed the first book, Nṛsiṁha, The Lost Temples.
Yeah.
And then that's now the second book, which just literally came out.
On New Year's
we're
Day.
recording this on January 18th, 2025. It just came out. It's double the size of the first book.
Like triple.
Triples the size.
508 pages.
Like amazing paintings, photographs, maps, like everything you can think of. Really fantastic book. If someone wants to get a copy, how can they get a copy?
They can just go on the website, thegodofyoga.com, or Instagram, The God of Yoga.
I'll put all the links in the description
awesome.
so they can get a hold of the book.
It's nice. Yeah, the first book has temples, but it has temples in Karnataka, Maharashtra, Orissa, Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu. Then it has the iconography and art of Yoga Nṛsiṁha, sculptures.
Yeah.
So I did like collaborations with all these museums, like the Met. I mean,
What do you feel when you hold the book and it's like, this is like your child, like you've been working on this for
It feels
years and years and years, and like, what's the feeling that you get?
the last 2-3 weeks. It doesn't feel real still.
Right.
Because, and I've looked at it like 100 times, but it's still like, wait, sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh God, I got to contact this museum. Wait, I got to go back to this temple and re-photograph. But then I'm like, wait, it's over. You did it. Because for almost 2.5 years, it was like every ounce of my being, every penny. I mean, the book cost me a fortune, like almost triple what the first book cost.
Wow.
And thanks to the support of devotees, but half of it was paid by them, half of it was paid by me.
Right.
And
And we're talking on the hundreds of thousands.
yeah, I mean, I could have bought a houses. I could have had, but I just was like, no, this is what I'm not going to stop until it's done. And, the whole collaborations with these big institutions like the museums, the Met and all them, the British Museum, the Louvre, it's huge.
Tell me what you said about the first
Oh
book.
yeah, that was crazy.
That was so crazy.
Yeah, none of them would call. I'm not an academic. They're like, who the hell is this Dhruva? Who are you? I was like leaving messages, calling, emails, but then I sent every single one of them. So what do I got? 30 museums in the book. They over 3 years, when I started the second book, I started getting emails or phone calls.
Wait, because you sent them the first book.
I sent them the first book. That's
Right.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
To send each around the world, all over Europe.
It's not a small book.
No, it was, but I made the investment, and then it just, each one, oh, hi, I'm the director of so forth at the Met. Hi, I'm of LACMA in Los Angeles, of, what do you call it?
British.
The British Museum. For the one in, what's it called? Oxford, Cambridge, Toledo. I mean, crazy, amazing.
They would slowly be contacting
Every
years
single one.
later.
Yeah, and then they were like, we've been looking for stuff on this. He's the most amazing piece in our collection of Hindu iconography. He's the rarest. What can you tell us about him? And I was like, well, first of all, you have a Yoga Nṛsiṁha deity, right? And they're like, yes. He's like the god of yoga, right? All of them said the same thing, right? He's the yoga god. It even has it on their website before I even call it. Says god of yoga.
Whoa.
Right? And that's amazing.
And it's that form that's sitting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's they're all in that form where he's sitting in Padmasana and his hands are stretched out over his knees. And
Yes.
And then they started contacting me, and I said, well, look, I'm doing this book. Can I have you and your idol in the book? And they were like, well, there's a lot of red tape. Are you an academic? I said, no, but look what I've done. I've been doing this for 18 years.
Yeah.
And they all were like, yes, yes, yes. Obviously, I had to pay licensing fees to use
Sure.
their images. We had to rephotograph a lot of stuff. It cost me a fortune. But they all worked with me, and they were all so awesome. And they were like,
Wow.
we cannot wait for this book to come out. We cannot wait for this book to be in our shop and sell the book.
Yeah.
This is so unique. So that was amazing. Even the Louvre, who has their sister museum next door to them with all the bronzes and stuff from all over the world, one of their oldest pieces is a Yoga Nṛsiṁha bronze.
How old are we talking?
2,200 years.
Okay.
Now, to be straight, a lot of their chronological dating is off.
Right.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
But they're just getting it because they get it from so-and-so's collection, who then they're just repeating what was already there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't change any of it.
Yeah.
That's the deal. What they write is what you have to put.
Oh, that's the deal. Got it.
So and that's okay. And because, that's their institution. But as far as the paintings, that was nuts. The paintings, having to deal with artists.
Yeah.
Artists are nuts. They're crazy.
And you were telling me the temples in
Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow you to paint. They wouldn't allow you to photograph. Absolutely not to photograph. But you had a painter go and sit in front and paint the deity.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Tahali and Vikram. Vikram is one of my favorite artists. He's out of this world. He pretty much did the whole Tamil Nadu section.
Wow.
And he was the one that took the longest, literally to the last week of printing. He got me just because he's so fantastic. But I have it 42 artists in there, and they're young, old men, women, and their stories are incredible. They're all Nṛsiṁha devotees. Some of them, their paintings sell for $30,000. And they were like, you know what? Use my whole Nṛsiṁha library. It's yours. Here's my license. Here's my copy. It's yours. Some of them were like that. Some of them, of course, I had to pay thousands of dollars, $5,000 a painting because of, they have hundreds and thousands or 1 million followers on Instagram. They're the best in their field.
Wow.
There's Mysore, 3 types of Mysore traditional art. There's Tanjore art. There's, art from Chennai, which is a mixture of a couple. There's Maharati art, Goan art. There's art from Gujarat, Rajasthan, Bengal. So I have so much. And then there's digital art. So I have 16-year-old girls who love digital art.
Oh, on an iPad or something?
Yeah. And they did paintings for the book.
Really?
Yeah. And they were like, no, in South, just like we say Prabhu, they call you Swami.
Yeah.
Like, Swami, no, please. And I'm like, no. You don't, I support the arts. How much do you want?
Yeah.
And they're like, 500 rupees. I was like, that's unacceptable. 500 rupees. Don't sell yourself short just because you're 16. So I always made sure I overpaid because I love it. And they did a great, I mean, obviously I would have done more. And then there's paintings of like, look at this.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What art style is that?
That's Maharashtra mixed with Goa. But look at this. Look at Vayu worshiping Yoga Nṛsiṁha with Madhva, Bhima, and Hanuman, who are Vayu's kids.
Let me hold that up.
That's written in the Upanishads. Yeah, that's written in the Upanishads. And you should see the one before that, Shiva.
This is really intense.
Here, put it down. I'll flip it to the next page.
Yeah.
This is look at that one. Shiva worshiping Yoga Nṛsiṁha with Nard Rishi and the Sapta Rishis doing the yoga mudras.
Amazing.
Yeah, so the book is like wild like that, and
Wow.
yeah, and then I have devotees.
Wait, so how did you get it into, like, you had to get someone to go take a photo of it?
This is digital.
This is digital.
Oh yeah, he's the best.
This is digital
Yeah.
art?
This guy is the most expensive artist. Look, he did this. He did the Vayu one, and then he did Ganesh. And then I did Adi Shankara. This is done by Nilesh Goswami. He's one of my favorites. He's actually in Texas.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is done by Tilai. He's in south of Chennai.
Is that digital?
That's digital.
Right.
I wanted to do digital for all this
Yeah.
because it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, yeah.
And then you have Vijay Jender Tirtha, the Shankara. And then you have contemporary devotees. This guy, Bhaskaran Swami in Mysore, is the only living person in the world that knows Narasimha Tantra. He won't teach it to anybody.
Wow.
Amara, my really good friend, Amara has been trying for years. He's such an awesome guy. Bhaskaran Swami. This guy from the Sondamat in northern Karnataka, they worship Bhima Narasimha. I mean, it's amazing, like little, and then it shows them all doing, they all gave sayings when I interviewed them. Look at this guy, he does pranayam every morning before the god of yoga.
Wow.
And then he gave his quote. So I have it's very personal. Now I didn't do anybody, I tried to do ones in ISKCON, but it was just, nobody was interested. So I did with who was interested, these Swamijis from the Madhvas, the Ramanujas, and the Shankaras.
Right.
And yeah, it's pretty,
Amazing.
bad ASS, this book. I'm pretty stoked. Like,
Yeah.
it'll send a shockwave in the dysfunctional yoga scene in the world. For those who actually want to know the origins of the god of yoga, whether they're, Sally from Nebraska,
Yeah.
who does yoga on the weekends, or somebody from LA, an influencer, if you really want to have a grasp, then I always, I encourage them to get this because it's a visual book and the introduction is really well written. And this time I think my editor, Satyaraj, was surprised because my writing skills have vastly improved.
He edited this one too?
Just the grammatical stuff. And I was
Okay.
surprised. He got it back to me in the same day. I was like, wait a minute. I went, what? But
Nice.
he's very good at his job.
Yeah.
But I did because of all the facts and everything. But he's brilliant with laying out sentences and structuring. But yeah, so those who are interested in this awesome, even in India, Modi started the International Yoga Day. So we're going to launch this. I'm going there in February to talk to him about launching this either on that day or before, like a press release.
Yeah.
This is a huge thing for India. I never even released the first book there. Sold out in the West. But the second book I'm focusing on India because the youth are so interested in the culture and most of them love Narasimha. And there's a lot of misconceptions because of the fake, self-proclaimed gurus and teachers in India on Instagram, which I'm sure we've all seen that. They just make up crap every single day and it's not based on Shastra or anything. So
Yeah.
and Narasimha wipes that out. Prahlad talks about it. Remember, he says, fake those posing as advanced souls who are just there for adoration and distinction and wealth and And that little 5-year-old kid was speaking about that.
Wow.
So yeah,
Well, Dhruva, it's been really nice talking
been
to you.
real.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much for, it's really inspiring your like perseverance and your determination to do this.
Thank you.
And it's like a physical thing that you did, which is like fantastic. It's like a great accomplishment, actually.
Thank you.
And so if you want to get this book or the first book, I'm going to put all the information in the description of this video. If you want to get in touch with Dhruva, you can get on his social media. He has like, 150K followers, Instagram,
Yeah, something.
God of Yoga on Instagram. I'll also put that in there. He regularly posts nice, cool pictures and of his travels and stuff like that. And as always, please like, subscribe, and comment.
Definitely.
And if you like this podcast, please share it with others. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna and Jai Nṛsiṁha.
Jai Nṛsiṁha.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thank you so
Yep.
much. I'm
Haribol.
Haribol.
Krishna Hare